The morning sun was just starting to rise over the Pacific Ocean when the sky changed forever. Admiral Kethver stood on the bridge of his massive warship, watching as thousands of silver vessels appeared in Earth's atmosphere like drops of liquid metal falling from space. His green skin gleamed under the soft lights of the command center as he smiled with satisfaction. Today would be easy. Today would be the day the Zephyrian Empire claimed its 48th world. The humans had no idea what was coming. For 20 years, Zephyrian scouts had been watching Earth from the shadows. They had listened to human radio broadcasts that leaked into space. They had seen human movies about war and peace. They had studied human technology and military strength. The reports all said the same thing. Humans were weak, divided, and primitive. The humans still use chemical rockets to reach their own moon. Their biggest weapons could barely scratch the surface of a small asteroid. Most importantly, they spent most of their time fighting each other instead of working together. The planet was split into nearly 200 different countries, each with its own army, its own leaders, and its own goals. They spoke hundreds of different languages and could not agree on simple things like trade or borders. It would be like taking candy from a child. Admiral Kethver had conquered 16 worlds himself. Each time, the pattern was the same. His fleet would arrive, demonstrate their superior firepower, and demand surrender. The local species would resist for a few days or weeks. Then, when they realized they could not win, they would give up. The smart ones would surrender quickly to avoid unnecessary death. The stubborn ones would fight a little longer, but the result was always the same. The Zephyrian Empire had been expanding for 300 years. They had perfected the art of conquest. Their ships could travel faster than light. Their weapons could destroy entire cities from space. Their shields could stop any primitive attack. Most importantly, they understood war as a science. Every battle was calculated. Every strategy was tested. Every outcome was predictable. Humans, from what they had observed, understood none of these things. On the other side of the planet, Major Sarah Chun stood on the roof of the North American Defense Command headquarters, watching the sky fill with alien ships. She had been a soldier for 15 years, fighting in 3 different wars. She had seen combat in the mountains of Afghanistan and the deserts of Africa. She had commanded troops in peacekeeping missions and rescue operations. But nothing had prepared her for this. The ships were beautiful in a terrifying way. They moved through the air like fish swimming through water, silent and graceful. Each one was easily the size of a football stadium, and there were thousands of them. They cast shadows over major cities around the world. From her position in Colorado, Sarah could see them spreading out across the sky like a deadly constellation. Her radio crackled to life. Reports were coming in from every continent. London was under shadow. Tokyo was reporting massive objects overhead. Moscow's air defense systems were tracking hundreds of contacts. Cairo, Sydney, New York, Mexico City, every major population center on Earth was suddenly living under alien ships. Sarah had always wondered what humanity would do if aliens arrived. Science fiction movies usually showed 2 possibilities. Either the aliens would be peaceful explorers seeking friendship, or they would be ruthless invaders seeking to destroy or enslave humanity. She had hoped for the first option, but prepared for the second. It became clear very quickly which option this was. The International Space Station disappeared first. Sarah watched through binoculars as a brief flash of light marked the end of humanity's greatest achievement in space. The station had taken 20 years to build and cost over $100 billion. It had been home to astronauts from 16 different countries working together on peaceful scientific research. The aliens destroyed it in less than 3 seconds. The orbital defense platforms went next. These were newer additions to Earth's defenses, built after several asteroid scares in the early 2020s. Each platform carried enough firepower to deflect a city-killing asteroid. Against the alien weapons, they lasted about as long as soap bubbles. In a hurricane, Admiral Kethver nodded with approval as his fleet's opening strikes eliminated humanity's space-based defenses. This was standard procedure. Remove any threats from orbit first, then begin ground operations. The humans had very little in space anyway, which made this phase quick and easy. He opened a communication channel to address the planet below. The message would be broadcast on every frequency humans used for communication. Television, radio, internet, military channels, everything would carry his words. People of Earth, his voice rang out in perfect English, translated by advanced computers that had learned human languages from decades of intercepted broadcasts. I am Admiral Keffer of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet. Your world is now under the protection of the Zephyrian Empire. Resistance is futile and will only result in unnecessary suffering. Lay down your weapons. Surrender your military installations. Submit to Imperial authority. You have 6 hours to comply. The transmission ended, leaving Earth in stunned silence. But the silence did not last long. Within minutes, emergency broadcasts began appearing on television screens around the world. The President of the United States appeared first, speaking from an underground bunker beneath the White House. His message was short and clear. We do not surrender. We do not submit, we fight. Similar messages followed from every major nation on Earth. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom spoke from London. Even as alien ships darkened the sky overhead, the President of Russia addressed his people from Moscow. The leaders of China, India, Brazil, Germany, Japan, and dozens of other countries all said the same thing in their own languages. No, surrender. What happened next surprised Admiral Keffer more than any single event in his 3-century military career. Instead of chaos and confusion, instead of panic and disorder, the humans did something unprecedented in galactic history. They united, not slowly, through careful negotiation and diplomatic meetings, not partially, with some nations joining while others held back, not conditionally, with demands and requirements and political maneuvering, instantly, completely, absolutely, emergency. Broadcasts went out on every communication network. All existing conflicts were suspended immediately. All territorial disputes were put on hold. All trade wars, political disagreements, and diplomatic tensions were declared temporarily irrelevant. Every military base on Earth began sharing information with every other military base, regardless of which country controlled it. Within 4 hours of the Admiral's ultimatum, American soldiers were coordinating with Russian generals. Chinese engineers were sharing technical data with European scientists. Israeli intelligence was working with Palestinian resistance fighters. Indian programmers were writing code alongside Pakistani mathematicians. Sarah Shun found herself in command of an international task force that included troops from 12 different countries, speaking 8 different languages, representing every major military tradition on Earth. A Japanese colonel served as her second-in-command. A German major controlled air support. A Nigerian captain managed communications. An Australian sergeant led the explosives team. 6 months earlier, some of these people had been on opposite sides of regional conflicts. Now they were sharing ammunition and sleeping in the same bunkers. Admiral Keffer watched this development with growing unease. In 47 previous conquests, he had never seen anything like it. Usually, the various factions of the planet would try to make separate deals with the Empire. Some would surrender quickly, hoping for better treatment. Others would fight to the end. Most would try to use the invasion as an opportunity to settle old scores with their neighbors. Humans were doing the opposite. They were becoming more united, not less. They were fighting harder, not giving up. And they were doing it all with a level of coordination that suggested they had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. As the 6-hour deadline approached, Admiral Keffer received humanity's official response. It came not from one leader or one country, but from all of them speaking in unison. Our answer is no. Admiral Keffer expected the humans to surrender within hours after his deadline passed. Instead, they did something that no species in the galaxy had ever done before. They got organized. Not just organized like a military force getting ready for battle. Organized like they had been waiting their entire existence for this exact moment. The Admiral watched his tactical displays with growing confusion. On every other world the Empire had conquered, the local population would scatter. When the invasion began, some would hide in mountains or underground. Others would flee to remote areas. A few would fight back, but in small, disconnected groups that could be easily defeated one by one. Humans were doing the opposite. Every major city on Earth had become a fortress. Every small town had become a supply depot. Every highway and railroad was moving troops and equipment at maximum speed. Most disturbing of all, they were sharing everything. American satellites were guiding Russian missiles. Chinese factories were building weapons designed by German engineers. Japanese technology was being installed in Brazilian aircraft. In less than 12 hours, humanity had created a single, unified military force from nearly 200 separate armies. Dr. Elena Vasquez worked in a laboratory built deep inside a mountain in Switzerland. Before the invasion, she had been studying theoretical physics at the University of Geneva. Her specialty was quantum mechanics and advanced communication systems. She had written papers about the possibility of faster-than-light communication using quantum entanglement. But no human technology could actually build such systems. Now she was staring at exactly that technology, torn from the wreckage of an alien fighter that had been shot down over the Alps. The crash had happened during the first wave of alien attacks. A young Swiss pilot named Klaus Müller had managed to ram his F-18 fighter jet into one of the alien ships, destroying both aircraft but giving humanity its first piece of alien technology to study. Elena and her team had been working for 18 hours straight, taking apart the alien communication device piece by piece. What they found was both amazing and frightening. The aliens were using quantum entanglement for instant communication across vast distances. Their technology was centuries ahead of anything humans had built, but the principles were the same ones. Elena had studied in university. She realized that the aliens had made one crucial mistake. They had assumed that humans were too primitive to understand quantum physics. They had not bothered to encrypt their communications because they thought no human could possibly break their codes. They were wrong. Elena's fingers flew across her keyboard as she wrote programs to decode the alien transmissions. Around her, physicists and computer experts from 12 different countries worked together, sharing ideas in a mixture of English, French, German, and mathematical equations. "I've got something," announced Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a Japanese cryptographer who had been flown in from Tokyo. "Their command frequency is using a rotating quantum key, but the rotation follows a mathematical pattern. Can you break it?" Elena asked. "Give me 4 more hours," Yuki replied with a tired smile. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Private James Murphy was having a very different kind of breakthrough. James was a demolitions expert from Montana who had spent 3 years clearing unexploded bombs in Iraq. Before joining the army, he had worked in his family's mining business, blowing up rocks to reach valuable minerals. James was not a scientist. He had barely graduated from high school, but he understood explosives better than almost anyone on Earth, and he had just figured out something important about alien technology. The aliens were using some kind of energy shield to protect their ships. Human missiles and bullets bounced off these shields like raindrops hitting a window. But James had noticed something during the battle footage he had been studying. When the aliens fired their own weapons, the shields had to open for a split second to let the energy beam through. That split second was all James needed. He was working in an abandoned mine shaft in Colorado, surrounded by enough explosives to level a small mountain. But these were not ordinary explosives. James had been experimenting with something he called quantum bombs, using pieces of alien technology salvaged from crashed ships. The idea was simple, even if the science was complicated. If the aliens used quantum entanglement for communication, maybe they used similar technology for their shields. And if their shields were quantum-based, then maybe a quantum explosion could disrupt them. James connected a standard mining explosive to a small quantum device he had removed from an alien fighter. He had no idea if it would work. He had no idea if it was safe. He only knew that conventional weapons were not stopping the alien ships. So humanity needed to try something unconventional. The test explosion lit up the Colorado sky like a miniature Sun. When the light faded, James found himself looking at a crater that was much larger than it should have been. More importantly, his instruments showed quantum feedback signatures that matched the alien shield frequencies Elena's team had detected. "I think I just figured out how to break their shields," James said into his radio, grinning despite the fact that the explosion had singed his eyebrows across the planet. Similar scenes were playing out in laboratories, military bases, and improvised workshops. Humans were adapting to alien technology at a speed that should have been impossible. They were not just copying what the aliens had built. They were improving it. A teenage mechanic in Detroit named Marcus Washington figured out how to make alien engines run faster by feeding them a mixture of rocket fuel and sports drinks. A grandmother in Mumbai named Kriya Sharma discovered that alien computers could be hacked using modified smartphone apps. A fisherman in Norway named Lars Anderson found that alien sensors could be jammed using modified radio equipment. From his fishing boat, the aliens had made a critical error in judgment. They had assumed that primitive technology meant primitive thinking. They had expected humans to be awed and intimidated by advanced alien science. Instead, humans looked at alien technology the same way they looked at any other machine, as something to be taken apart, understood, and improved. Commander Uthal stood in the command center of a Zephyrian assault ship, watching his tactical displays with growing alarm. He had been leading ground invasions for 50 years. He had conquered mountain worlds where the locals fought from cave systems. He had subdued ocean worlds where the inhabitants could breathe underwater. He had defeated species with natural armor, species with poisonous claws, and species that could camouflage themselves perfectly, but he had never fought an enemy like humans. The humans were using tactics that violated every rule of civilized warfare. They turned civilian airplanes into guided missiles. They used construction equipment as weapons of war. They converted sports stadiums into missile launch sites. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to enjoy the challenge Yethel had just received. A report that made his blood run cold. A human force had attacked one of his supply convoys using nothing but modified farming equipment and pure determination. They had converted tractors into armored vehicles, turned fertilizer into explosives, and used crop-dusting aircraft as fighter planes. The attack should have been a joke. Primitive farm equipment against advanced alien technology should have been no contest at all. The human farmers had won. They had not just defeated the convoy. They had captured it intact, along with all the alien technology inside. Even worse, they had done it while suffering almost no casualties themselves. The humans had planned the attack so carefully that they knew exactly where to strike and when. "Sir," reported one of ICE officers, "we're receiving similar reports from all sectors. Human forces are adapting to our tactics faster than we can adjust to theirs." Yethel studied the tactical map showing alien positions around the globe. Red markers indicated areas under Zephyrian control. Blue markers showed human resistance. When the invasion had started, the map had been mostly red with small pockets of blue. Now it was mostly blue with shrinking islands of red. The humans were not just resisting, they were winning. "Send a message to the Admiral," Uthal ordered. "Tell him we need reinforcements. And tell him to bring everything we have." High above Earth, Admiral Kethver received that message along with dozens of similar reports from his other commanders. The invasion that should have ended in 6 hours had been going on for 3 days. The species that should have surrendered immediately was instead getting stronger with each passing hour. For the first time in his 3-century career, Admiral Kethver was beginning to doubt victory was certain. He was beginning to understand that humanity was unlike any species the Empire had ever encountered. They did not fight like civilized beings following the rules of war. They fought like a force of nature that could not be reasoned with, bargained with, or stopped. They fought like humans. The Zephyrian Empire had protocols for dealing with stubborn species. Admiral Kethver had used these methods on dozens of worlds before Earth. First, you demonstrated superior firepower to show resistance was hopeless. Then you applied economic pressure by cutting off trade and resources. If that failed, you used psychological warfare to break their will to fight. Finally, you employed divide and conquer tactics to turn different groups against each other. All of these methods had worked perfectly for 300 years of conquest. None of them worked on humans. The demonstration of superior firepower had only made humans more determined to fight. The economic pressure was meaningless because humans had unified their entire planet's economy overnight. Psychological warfare failed because humans had been practicing it on themselves for thousands of years and had developed natural resistance. Most puzzling of all, the divide and conquer approach actually made humans more united instead of splitting them apart. Admiral Kethver stared at his tactical display, trying to understand what had gone wrong. According to every computer model, the Empire used human resistance should have collapsed by now. The mathematics of warfare were clear and precise. When casualties reached a certain percentage, morale would break. When supply lines were cut, armies would surrender. When leadership was eliminated, command structures would fall apart. Humans ignored all these rules. Every destroyed city created 10 new resistance cells. Every cut supply line led to 20 improvised alternatives. Every eliminated leader was replaced by 3 new ones. It was like fighting an enemy that grew stronger every time you hit it. Commander Yethal was learning this lesson the hard way in the ruins of what had once been downtown Los Angeles. His ground forces had occupied the city 3 days ago after a fierce battle that left most of the downtown area in rubble. According to standard imperial doctrine, the surviving population should have been demoralized and ready to cooperate with their new rulers. Instead, the humans had turned the rubble into a fortress. Every collapsed building became a sniper's nest. Every damaged road became a trap. Every piece of debris became either a weapon or a shield. The humans fought from the sewers, from the rooftops, from tunnels they dug under the streets. They used everything as a weapon: kitchen knives, baseball bats, garden tools, even children's toys filled with explosives. Most disturbing was their attitude. Yethal had expected fear, anger, or desperation. Instead, the humans seemed almost cheerful about the whole situation. They left graffiti messages like, "Welcome to LA. Hope you enjoy your stay, and thanks for the target practice," spray painted on walls next to alien symbols they had somehow learned to write. Human sniper had been harassing Yethal's forces for 2 days from a damaged office building. Every time they sent troops to capture him, he would disappear through holes in the walls that seemed too small for anyone to fit through. When they finally cornered him, they discovered he was a 70-year-old retired construction worker named Frank Martinez, who had helped build half the buildings in the city. Frank knew every pipe, every wire, and every hidden passage in downtown Los Angeles. He had been moving through the building's infrastructure like a ghost, appearing only long enough to take a shot before vanishing again. When they finally captured him, he was carrying a hunting rifle that was older than some of the alien soldiers, along with a thermos of coffee and a sandwich his wife had packed for him. "Nothing personal, boys," Frank told his captors in perfectly calm English. "Just doing my job." This was happening everywhere. In Tokyo, a group of elderly martial arts masters were teaching alien combat techniques to teenagers, creating hybrid fighting styles that confused Zephyrian warriors. In London, a network of underground train tunnels had become a hidden highway for resistance fighters who struck without warning and disappeared like smoke. In Moscow, former circus performers were using acrobatic skills to attack alien positions from impossible angles. The humans were not just adapting to alien technology. They were adapting to alien tactics, alien weapons, and even alien psychology. Worse yet, they were doing it faster than the aliens could adapt to them. Dr. Elena Vasquez had successfully broken the alien communication codes, but that was only the beginning. Her international team of scientists had discovered something that changed everything. The aliens were afraid. The quantum-encrypted transmissions they had decoded revealed conversations between alien commanders that painted a very different picture than what humanity had expected. The Zephyrians were not confident conquerors taking an easy victory. They were increasingly panicked soldiers facing an enemy they did not understand. "Listen to this," Elena said to her team, playing back a translated conversation between 2 alien ship captains. Captain Zethel reports that human forces attacked his position using modified agricultural equipment. The humans converted farming tractors into armored vehicles by welding steel plates to them and mounting alien weapons they had salvaged from previous battles. The attack was successful despite the primitive nature of the modifications. Dr. Yuki Tanaka looked up from her computer screen. Here's another one. Commander Vorthan says his troops are having trouble with human psychological warfare. Apparently, humans have been playing loud music during battles. The aliens find human music extremely disturbing because it does not follow mathematical patterns they can predict. The translated messages revealed that the Zephyrian Empire had never encountered a species like humanity. Every other race they had conquered had followed predictable patterns of behavior. They would resist using their best technology and most advanced tactics first, then gradually fall back to more primitive methods as they were defeated. Humans did the opposite. They started with primitive weapons and tactics, then rapidly improved by combining their own technology with captured alien equipment. Even more confusing, they seemed to get more creative and dangerous as the battle continued instead of less. Captain Ahmed Hassan had become an expert at capturing alien technology. The former Egyptian Special Forces officer was now leading an international team of soldiers, engineers, and technicians who specialized in raids against alien positions. Their mission was simple: get close to alien equipment, take it apart, figure out how it worked, and then build better versions. Ahmed's team had just completed their most ambitious raid yet. They had attacked a Zephyrian supply depot using a combination of human-built vehicles and captured alien weapons. The attack had been planned using intelligence gathered by Elena's team, coordinated through communication networks built by engineers from 6 different countries, and executed by soldiers who spoke 4 different languages but fought like they had trained together for years. The raid was not just successful, it was a complete victory that captured enough alien equipment to supply dozens of resistance cells around the world. More importantly, they had captured something even more valuable: alien prisoners. This was the first time in the invasion that humans had taken live alien soldiers prisoner. Ahmed's team had used non-lethal weapons designed specifically to overcome alien armor and biology. They wanted information, and they were going to get it. The prisoners were transferred to a secure facility built inside an abandoned mine in Colorado, not far from where Private James Murphy had been experimenting with quantum explosives. The facility was chosen because it was deep underground, protected from alien sensors, and could be defended easily. Dr. Sarah Chun, who had been promoted to colonel after her leadership during the early days of the invasion, was put in charge of the interrogation team. She had experience in military intelligence and spoke 3 languages fluently. More importantly, she understood something that the aliens did not expect. Humans were very good at learning about their enemies. The first interrogation session revealed information that shocked everyone involved. The alien prisoners were not proud warriors fighting for their empire. They were frightened soldiers who had been told that humanity was a primitive species that would surrender quickly. "You are not what we expected," one of the prisoners admitted through a translation device. "We were told your people were weak and divided. We were told you would give up when faced with superior technology. We were told this would be easy." Colonel Chun leaned forward in her chair. "What else were you told?" "We were told that no species had ever successfully resisted the Empire for more than a few weeks. We were told that your weapons were primitive and your tactics were predictable. We were told that you could not possibly adapt to our technology quickly enough to matter." "And what do you think now?" The alien prisoner looked at the walls of the underground facility, built by humans in less than a week using a combination of traditional construction techniques and captured alien technology. His expression showed something that no human had expected to see on an alien face: fear. "I think we made a terrible mistake." The information from the captured aliens changed everything. Colonel Sarah Chun sat in the underground command center in Colorado, reading through translated documents that her team had taken from alien prisoners. What she found was not the battle plan of a confident empire. It was the desperate strategy of an organization that was starting to panic. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 47 worlds using the same basic approach every time. They would arrive with overwhelming force, demonstrate their superior technology, and wait for the local population to surrender. The longest any planet had resisted was 6 weeks. Most surrendered within days. Earth had been fighting for 6 weeks already, and humans were getting stronger instead of weaker. The alien documents revealed something even more important. Earth was not the only world the Empire was trying to conquer. They had active invasions happening on 3 other planets, plus occupation forces maintaining control on dozens of worlds they had already conquered. The Zephyrian military was spread thin across half the galaxy. They could not afford a long war on Earth. Colonel Chun called an emergency meeting with military leaders from around the world. The meeting took place through secure video links that connected underground bunkers on every continent. General Morrison from the United States, General Petrov from Russia, General Lee from China, General Schmidt from Germany, and dozens of other commanders appeared on screens around the room. "We have been thinking about this war the wrong way," Chun announced to the group. "We have been fighting a defensive war, trying to protect our cities and people from alien attack. But the aliens are not here because they are strong. They are here because they are desperate." She shared the captured intelligence with the group. The alien documents showed that the Zephyrian Empire was facing rebellions on multiple worlds. Their economy was struggling to support so many military operations. Most importantly, they needed new worlds to provide resources and soldiers for their continued expansion. Earth was supposed to be an easy victory that would give them the resources they need to handle their other problems, Sean explained. "Instead, we have become their biggest problem. Every day we continue to resist, their situation gets worse." "General." Morrison nodded thoughtfully. "So what do you suggest?" "We stop fighting defensively and start fighting offensively. We take the war to them." The room fell silent as the military leaders considered this idea. Taking the war to an alien empire with superior technology seemed impossible. But then again, everything humans had accomplished in the past 6 weeks had seemed impossible. General Petrov spoke first. "What exactly do you have in mind?" Chun pulled up a tactical display showing the alien fleet positions around Earth. "Our prisoners have given us detailed information about their ship layouts, command structures, and communication protocols. We know which ships are command vessels and which ones carry their most important equipment. We also know something they do not expect us to know." She paused for dramatic effect. "We know how to build faster-than-light ships." The breakthrough had come from an unexpected source. Marcus Thompson had been an airline pilot for 30 years before the invasion began. He had flown passenger jets all over the world and understood aircraft design better than almost anyone. When the aliens arrived, Marcus had been studying captured alien ships with the same methodical approach he had used to learn every type of airplane he had ever flown. Marcus was not a scientist, but he understood engineering. He could look at any machine and figure out how it worked by studying its shape, its moving parts, and the way energy flowed through it. When he examined alien faster-than-light drives, he saw something that the scientists had missed. The aliens were using the same basic principles that humans had theorized about for decades. The technology was more advanced, but the underlying science was familiar. More importantly, the alien drives were designed to be efficient and reliable, not to be impossible to copy. "I think I can build one of these," Marcus had told the engineering team 3 days ago. "Not exactly like theirs, but something that works the same way. Give me a month and enough materials and I can put a human ship in space that travels faster than light." The materials were not a problem. 6 weeks of constant raiding had given humanity access to massive amounts of alien technology. The real challenge was building a ship that could carry enough firepower to make a difference in space combat. The solution came from an unexpected partnership. Isabella Rodriguez had been a space engineer working on the next generation of human spacecraft before the invasion began. Her designs had focused on efficiency and safety for scientific missions. When she met Marcus Thompson, she realized that his practical engineering approach combined with her theoretical knowledge could create something amazing. Together, They designed humanity's first faster-than-light warship. The ship looked nothing like the elegant alien vessels. It was built using parts from a dozen different human spacecraft combined with captured alien technology. The hull was made from steel and titanium taken from decommissioned aircraft carriers. The weapons were a mixture of human missiles and alien energy beams. The faster-than-light drive was built according to alien principles but using human engineering methods. It was ugly, crude, and probably dangerous to operate. It was also exactly what humanity needed. The ship was assembled in a hidden facility built inside an abandoned aircraft factory in Seattle. Workers from around the world contributed specialized parts and expertise. Japanese electronics, German precision engineering, American manufacturing capability, Russian metallurgy, and Chinese production efficiency all came together to create something that had never existed before, a human starship built for war. While the ship was being constructed, Colonel Chen was planning the mission that would change the course of the war. The captured alien prisoners had revealed the location of a Zephyrian command station in space, positioned just outside Earth's solar system. This station coordinated all alien operations in the Earth invasion and served as a communication relay to the rest of the Empire. Destroying the command station would not end the war, but it would cut off the alien forces on Earth from their chain of command and make it impossible for them to call for reinforcements. The mission would be incredibly dangerous. The command station was heavily defended and located in deep space, where the aliens had every advantage. Even if the human ship could reach the target, fighting through the defenses would require skill, luck, and courage in equal measure. Chun knew that only one person could command such a mission. She called Captain Lisa Park, a former fighter pilot who had become one of humanity's most successful alien ship hunters. Lisa had shot down more alien aircraft than any other pilot and had personally tested most of the hybrid human-alien weapons that were now being used around the world. "I need you to take our new ship into space and destroy an alien command station," Chun told Lisa during their private meeting. "The mission has almost no chance of success. You will be completely cut off from support, and you will probably not survive." Lisa grinned. "When do we leave?" The crew for the mission was assembled from volunteers representing every major nation on Earth. The pilot was American. The engineer was German. The weapons officer was Japanese. The communications specialist was Brazilian, and the tactical coordinator was South African. They had trained together for only 2 weeks, but they worked together like they had been flying missions for years. The ship launched at dawn on a Tuesday, exactly 7 weeks after the alien invasion had begun. It lifted off from a hidden launch pad in the Nevada desert and disappeared into space using technology that humans had thought was impossible just 2 months earlier. Admiral Kethver was reviewing damage reports from the latest human attacks when his sensors detected something that should not have been possible. A human spacecraft had just appeared at the edge of the solar system, moving faster than light. For the first time since the invasion began, the Admiral felt genuine fear. The humans had not just learned to fight back. They had learned to take the war to space. Captain Lisa Park sat in the command chair of humanity's first faster-than-light warship as it approached the Zephyrian command station. The ship vibrated constantly, making sounds that no spacecraft should make. Sparks flew from control panels that had been jury-rigged together using parts from 3 different alien ships. The faster-than-light drive made a humming noise that grew louder every few minutes, suggesting it might explode at any moment. Lisa had flown many different aircraft in her career, but nothing had prepared her for this. The ship handled like a freight train trying to do ballet. Every control was in a different place than where it should be. Half the instruments were labeled in languages that no human had spoken a month ago. The weapon systems required 3 people to operate properly because no one had figured out how to make them work automatically. Despite all of this, Lisa was smiling. The human ship had approached the alien command station without being detected. The Zephyrians had not expected humans to develop faster-than-light travel so quickly, so their sensors were not looking for human ships in deep space. By the time they realized what was happening, it was too late. "Target acquired," announced Kenji Tanaka, the weapons officer. The young Japanese pilot had volunteered for the mission despite having no experience with spacecraft combat. His background was in video games and computer programming, but he had spent the past 2 weeks learning how to operate alien weapons by taking them apart and putting them back together. "Distance to target?" Lisa asked. 50,000 kilometers. "And closing," replied Hans Müller, the German engineer who was serving as navigator. Hans had designed propulsion systems for European satellites before the invasion. Now he was calculating attack trajectories using mathematics. He had learned from captured alien computers. The Zephyrian command station was a massive structure, easily 10 times larger than anything humans had ever built in space. It bristled with weapons and defensive systems. Dozens of alien fighters patrolled around it in complex patterns. Under normal circumstances, attacking such a target would be suicide. These were not normal circumstances. "All stations report ready," announced Maria Santos, the Brazilian communications officer who was coordinating the attack. She had been a radar operator for her country's Air Force before volunteering for the space mission. Her job was to make sure everyone on the ship could talk to each other despite speaking 4 different languages and using equipment labeled in alien symbols. "Beginning attack run," Lisa announced over the communication system that connected her ship to the resistance forces on Earth. Around the world, millions of humans were listening as their representatives in space prepared to strike back at the aliens who had invaded their home. The human ship did not attack like an alien vessel. Alien tactics were precise, calculated, and followed mathematical principles that had been refined over centuries of warfare. Human tactics were chaotic, unpredictable, and seemed to have been invented 5 minutes before the battle began. The ship accelerated directly toward the command station at maximum speed, ignoring the defensive fighters and flying straight through the middle of their formation. Alien pilots tried to intercept the human vessel, but Lisa was flying like no alien had ever flown before. She used the ship's crude construction as an advantage, making sudden turns and direction changes that would have torn apart a more sophisticated vessel. "Firing missiles," Kenji announced as his fingers danced across the weapon controls. The ship launched every missile it carried in a single massive salvo. The missiles were a mixture of human and alien technology, each one programmed with targeting information that had been gathered from weeks of studying alien defenses. The missiles did not fly in neat formations like alien weapons. They scattered in all directions, following seemingly random paths toward the command station. Some of them were decoys designed to confuse alien defenses. Others carried conventional explosives. A few had been equipped with the quantum disruption devices that Private James Murphy had developed in his Colorado mine. The alien point defense systems tried to shoot down the incoming missiles, but they could not predict which ones were real threats and which ones were decoys. By the time they figured out the pattern, it was too late. The first explosions lit up the space around the command station like fireworks. Conventional warheads damaged the outer hull and destroyed several weapon emplacements. Then the quantum bombs hit. James Murphy's disruption devices worked exactly as he had predicted. The quantum explosions sent feedback pulses through the alien systems, overloading their shields and disabling their weapons. In less than 30 seconds, the most powerful Zephyrian facility in the solar system had been reduced to a helpless target. "Direct hit on primary target," reported Thebo Thembu, the South African tactical officer who was analyzing the damage using sensors that had been built from pieces of 6 different alien ships. "Command station is disabled. Alien fighters are retreating," but Lisa was not finished. The mission had been to destroy the command station, but she had just realized they could do something much more important. "Maria, open a communication channel to the command station," she ordered. "Captain, they might not surrender," Hans warned. "I'm not asking them to surrender," Lisa replied with a grin that would have terrified any alien who could see it. "I'm going to make them an offer." The communication channel crackled to life, and Admiral Kethvar's voice came through the speakers. The alien commander sounded tired, frightened, and completely defeated. "Human vessel, this is Admiral Kethvar of The Zephyrian Imperial Fleet, we wish to discuss terms. Admiral, this is Captain Lisa Park of the Human Liberation Fleet. Lisa replied, using a title that had not existed until she spoke it. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen next. She paused to let the words sink in, then continued, with a voice that carried the authority of an entire planet behind it. You came to our world thinking we were weak and divided. You found out we're something else entirely. We are humanity, and we don't forgive. We don't forget. And we definitely don't quit. Through the communication system, Lisa could hear alien voices arguing in the background. They were scared, confused, and completely unprepared for what she was about to tell them. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to order all Zephyrian forces to withdraw from Earth immediately. You're going to provide us with the locations of every world your empire has conquered. And you're going to send a message to your government explaining that humanity is coming to liberate every species you've enslaved. You cannot be serious, Admiral Keffer protested. You are one ship. We are an empire that spans hundreds of star systems. Admiral, look around you. 3 months ago, we didn't even know you existed. Today, we built a faster-than-light ship from spare parts and used it to destroy your most important military installation. How long do you think it's going to take us to build 1,000 ships? How about 10,000? Lisa let that question hang in the air before delivering her final message. You wanted to meet humanity, Admiral. Congratulations. Now you get to explain to your empire what you've unleashed. Because we're not just defending Earth anymore. We're coming for every world you've conquered, every species you've enslaved, and every freedom you've stolen. The communication channel went silent for a long moment. When Admiral Keffer spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. What do you want us to do? Get off our planet. Give us the coordinates of every world in your empire. And start running, because the liberation of the galaxy begins now. As the human ship turned toward home, its crude engines straining to carry the crew back to Earth, Admiral Keffer stared at his tactical displays in horror. The reports coming in from Earth showed Zephyrian forces in full retreat. Human fighters were pursuing alien ships beyond the solar system. Resistance groups on dozens of occupied worlds were receiving messages from Earth, promising that help was coming. The invasion had indeed begun at dawn, exactly 3 months ago. But it was humanity's invasion now, and it would not stop until every chain in the galaxy was broken. The regret was just beginning.